So there needs to be some balance. Managing their emotions. This is fantastic. We know that students this age are growing into their emotional maturity. Dr. Cook talked about them being in adolescence until they're 45, which helps me out. Explains a lot, my wife would say. But even though they look like mature adults, they're still dealing with some very grown-up situations. And they may look grown-up, but they're still kind of gooey babies inside. Not quite fully emotionally mature. So how many of your sons and daughters have a long-term serious girlfriend or boyfriend or partner that they're leaving behind? Some hands are going up, and this is increasing every year. One year was like one person with their hand up, like, what's going on with dating? And so now students are starting to date again. But some are leaving some girlfriends or boyfriends behind, and coping with that separation. Long distance is something tough for a young person to deal with in their first semester. And then also when these relationships end and they're at school, it can be very distracting of all things, academic and otherwise. It can be damaging, and there are a lot of resources for them. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I'll start by talking about the Stax legend, Luther Ingram. If loving you was wrong, I don't want to be right. That's what some of your students are thinking right now. Got home. There's hometown love. There's orientation love. And there's love of learning. So let's start with the hometown love, right? So hometown love is that one that we just talked about. The one's leaving the girlfriend or boyfriend behind, or partner behind, and they're going to college in New Jersey, or they're working at home, and your kid is here at Loyola. And so they get here and they get moved in, and then you go home and all you hear about, I miss Dave. I miss Dave. And he's calling, he's texting, they're Facebooking, and again, whatever social media is like hip now that I don't know about. And that's all that they're doing. And your kid is not meeting anyone on the floor. Who's your RA? I have no idea, but I miss Dave. Dave is upset. He only has a moped, but he has to get down 95 from Jersey. So he gets on the moped, he's on the shoulder, he skirts the tolls, he gets down to see his love. But then Dave gets here and he's in the room all the time. He's staying over the weekend. Nobody invited Dave. No one talked about Dave. Dave's not supposed to be staying in the room over the weekend anyway with them. And there are all these things going on. Real problem. But after 5 or 6 trips on the moped and a swipe with a truck or something, Dave is not interested in doing it anymore. It is too much for Dave. All right? And Dave calls, text your child and says, it's over, I'm sorry, this is too much. And your child is devastated. Devastated. And they call you, oh my God, can you talk to I don't know my RA. Can you talk to your friends? I have no friends. I only had him. I have you. I want to come home. For real. And you're like, no, don't. And you're like, for real. And so we intervene. We work with you and your child to get them support, to make them through, get them through. And lots of support is here from student life staff, and counseling center staff, and others. All right, we help them through. All right, that's one problem, and they stay. Fantastic. And then there's orientation love. You guys know what that is? Yeah, that's happening right now. Your child's like, oh my God, look at him. I saw him walking in the sunlight on the skin. They are smitten, done, completely wrecked. Haven't even talked to the person yet. And then he speaks, oh my God, it's like poetry coming out of his mouth. You're finished, it's like it's done. I'm leaving my child now and all they're thinking about is young Adonis. All right, and that's their first 6 weeks. But Loyola is like 60-40 women. And young Adonis moves on. Because he can. And what is your child? Wrecked. And what do they want to do? They want to come home to you. Yes, yes, yes. And what do you say? God, no. Let's get you some support there. You even come down. Whatever you need to do. And so talking to your students about love of learning, that's what they're here for. Remember these bright students I'm talking about, a 3.5 GPA, blah, blah, blah? Those students, class, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's something they should be thinking about, and they almost forget this. So relationships and their emotional maturity is not that they can even manage these things. So encourage these healthy boundaries from the start. If you hear the conversation about only one kid and like, oh my God, talk to them about what else you're into and remind them of this conversation we had. They didn't hear this, so talk to them about it. And the calls home again as a problem, full-time student, on-campus engagement is key. If they have other things besides talking to Dave, going to class, they will have other things to do and have other stimuli. Trust me. And if they're engaged and interested. But beware the comfy basement. Who has cable in their basement? Who has carpet? Who has heat? Who has a basement that doesn't have a river going through it? All right, correct those things. Wreck your basement. Because if your child knows that basement is there, they'll be coming home to you because you've turned their room into something else. Right? And they want to come home to that. We know that your kids are also developing independence and autonomy. So how many is their first time away from home? Almost all of you. And so it's their decisions about when they come and go, when they go to bed, which is, my God, our problem, right? Of what they eat, which is interesting. So if they have a favorite food, now they're away from you. If they like pizza, and that's all they want to eat, and you would usually say, well, have a salad. They can do what they want now. You got a meal plan with them? Hey, it's open season. I had a friend in college that ate oatmeal. That's it. He was very cheap, but he ate oatmeal. That's it. Nobody can stop him. For many years, this is your job. But you really need to talk to them about care of the whole person, right? They need to think about getting some exercise, seeing the great outdoors. The kids that are video game addicts now, it's a problem. Now, and I had this with my nephews. I don't have any kids of my own, God bless me. No, I don't have any kids of my own, but my nephews, they would come and visit, and I did an experiment, just a little social experiment in my house. If I left them untouched, how long would they sit with their video games? 3 days. And I went in. I felt some sort of social responsibility, my sister, my family. So they need to take care of themselves. Talk to them about balance. We have to care of the whole person. We should think about that. But they're on their own, making their own decisions. They still need some insurance and considerable guidance. So it's those questions, those 5 key questions to them over the phone to figure out how they're doing the check-in is very important. So you're going from being an on-site parent to being kind of a mentor or a consultant to them. Because you can give their advice, they can take it or leave it. Right? So hopefully they'll take it. And so they still need you. Because every once in a while, you have a kid who's really having a problem. And they'll call home, and they'll leave a message to you, and they're afraid. They go, oh my God, this is horrible. And you call them back, and they're right there waiting for you on the other end of the phone. All right? And that's when you know, okay, what do we need to do? Listen it out, and then feed back into us. Because they're here, right? Not at home. So feedback into our resources, into student life, into the counseling center, into the dean's office, whomever you need to. If your student's really struggling with something, I know I'm joking a lot, but I can't be serious. I have my moments. We can then intervene in appropriate ways that are usually non-intrusive, unless it's something that really needs to be intervened on right then, and we will do that as well. We know how to figure that out. All right. So, very quickly, how many of you remember the first Thanksgiving home? Anybody want to say anything about the first Thanksgiving home with your kid? What were they like? Pleasant? Did you recognize them? No, you didn't. And so I'll tell you guys a quick amalgam of the Thanksgiving story that I've heard from all kinds of parents over time. It's fantastic. So, kid gets a ride home, pull up to your house, get out, dragging their laundry through your front door, drops it off on the inside of the front door. You've got like dinner, you got Sinatra, candlelight, like little brothers waiting. Oh, they're waiting for you. Walks past all those people, go upstairs to the room that used to be theirs, close the door, get on the phone, calls other high school friends who are now home from, hey, what's up, man? Come on, come and get me. No, family's fine. Good. Come and get me. Another, walk right past you, the dinner, the candlelight, the Sinatra. Walk out the front door. Do they tell you where they're going? Do they even signal towards that? No. They just walk past you and out and gone. Get in the car with somebody else, didn't tell you where they're going. I know you had a rule about that when they're in high school, but they're not in high school anymore. And they're gone. And you wait. And you clear the dishes. You turn off the Sinatra and blow out the candles. And you wait. Midnight, you wait. 1 o'clock, Dad goes to bed. 3 o'clock, you wait. 5 o'clock, come in. Upstairs, maybe you can get a snack on the way. You fuming. You want to wake somebody else up, and you can't beat them then. You've got to go to work. All right. We'll talk about this later. You go to work, which is good. Gives you some time to calm down. But what if you realize it's a different ballgame, right? Different schedule. You had home rules. You're ready to give them your home rule conversation, right? But it's not the same anymore because they have a home that you're actually paying for here. And they let you know that they can go back to that home and get a ride there, no problem. You paid up through the semester. There'll be some consequences, but not today. And so you think about the type of conversation you need to have about what's changing, right? And so yes, there is a different situation. They have different hours. They do need to tell you where they're going, yes. Well, you always know that. So you work out a new compromise on what this parent-child relationship will be like. And it's startling. So I know the tendency to want to smack the child. That's not actually legal in any state. We can't even smack your children. God knows I wish we could. All right. But the key part is the conversation, and I'm going to wrap it up. I think we're actually over time at this point, but we know that you know, and you'll see that your child is changing in relationships. Just, there are books on it. Have conversation with other parents who are going through it to figure out how to manage this development. Because if you react too strongly one way or the other, you kind of miss the opportunity there. And they do need to respect you, absolutely, but they need to be able to be in front of you to hear the conversation. And so we'll have, I'm sorry I lost time, I want to talk more about that, but we will be around this next couple of days. And please come up to us. I'm not the only person that has this knowledge. All of my student development colleagues have this knowledge about your children. So grab one of us, talk to them about your questions, and we're happy to help answer them for you. Thank you for your time. I'm going to turn Dr. Cook.
We have to have a sense of humor to do this year after year after year after year. Quickly, because we are out of time, we have a next group. Keep in mind our goal together, help them to grow into young adults. Okay? So that means think of yourself as consultants to your student. How will you help them to navigate their time here? How will you help them to have honest conversations with their roommates and be assertive? How can you role play with them? How to go to their professor and ask those questions that you would typically pick up the telephone to call and ask yourselves. Think about the various adults in your sons and daughters' lives now. They all have different roles. You would never dream of, maybe you would, going to the coach and saying, this is what you need to do to motivate my son or daughter. Similarly, please don't do that with any of the professors, okay? Calling professors does not help your son or daughter because they have the work that they need to do to prepare them academically. In many respects, they have to teach them to learn in new ways. So whatever you thought, those who got all the A's in high school, they won't necessarily get them here. And that professor is teaching them how to learn at this level so that they can begin to get them. So you don't want to disrupt that process. Meanwhile, those who work in the residence halls, they are there, the professionals who are responsible for the day-to-day living and managing all of these students who are living in the halls together. They do need more of a partnership with you. If you have information that you think is helpful and you need someone to consult with you on, you can contact them. The Counseling Center, you have our brochure that we passed out. We are licensed mental health professionals. We cannot give information to you legally or ethically if your son and daughter is being seen in the Counseling Center, but you can give us information and we can talk it through with you and help you to figure out whether it's something that your son or daughter is facing or something that they're managing with their roommates. We can help you figure out how to encourage them to take that step to get the help they need. The other thing, we see in the Counseling Center about 35% of the students in any given academic year, and 40% of those have had counseling previously, some for depression, some for eating disorders, anxiety, the full range. Know that those first 6 weeks are very stressful, that finding their way, that learning how to fit in, that learning how to belong, that learning how to study a new way, all of those things can kick up some unresolved issues. Even things that have happened in the past that they've managed. So don't think, oh, they'll be fine, go and let them get a new start. Instead, have the conversations about when will you know when you're struggling a bit, and how can we get you connected in advance with the help you need. And we can help with that. We will gladly help with that. Our goal really is about preventing any kind of crisis from occurring to the degree that we can. So let's work together and partner with that. Utilize the resources. We know health-wise, students of today, their lives are so much more stressful. They have the ailments of older people now. Heart conditions, migraines, cancer, kidney disease, the full range. Let the health center staff know in advance so we can make accommodations for that. Disability support services can help with accommodations so that students can get the support that they need. As Father Lanane said in his talk, it's all here. It's all here. We specialize in what we do, and so we want you to take advantage of it. Don't all come at us at once, but do take advantage of it. Enjoy the rest of your time here. We look forward to seeing you. We'll be here if you have a few questions, and also tomorrow.
Because you've heard so much today about what to do for your son or daughter, all the experiences that are going to happen for them. But as a parent, we know you have some concerns too. And the number one concern that parents often have, and they wonder, and I know the dads in here especially are looking around, is the safety concerns. You know, what are the issues? What are you doing? So we're going to have our director of public safety talk to you a little bit about what we do here at Loyola to prepare your sons and daughters to be safe and what you can do to help them. And then I'm going to kind of wrap it up at the end to tell you a little bit about how you want to engage with them. You've heard in different ways today. I'm just going to kind of wrap it up before you go to the next session where you really connect in a smaller way in smaller sessions with different programs, a little bit of a general approach that we at Loyola have in working with parents. So let me start by introducing Colonel Fox, who's the Director of Public Safety.
you, Dr. Horton. First of all, I want to thank you for coming here and making sure that we have some job security along the lines. And I can tell you that although Xavier's piece was very enlightening and fun, I get to deal with a lot of that bad behavior too on the public safety side. It's not scary, it's not terrible, it's just something that we have to deal with. I'm going to try and go through this fairly quickly. If I run into something that you need to raise your hand and yell something out, please go ahead. I'm a retired Army officer. I spent my last job here as the ROTC guy. Father Ridley was crazy enough to offer me a job as the public safety guy, and have been doing that ever since for about 11 years now. Those are okay things to do because I retired and I wanted a secondary job. But the thing that I think makes me a little unique here is that 2 of my sons graduated from this institution. They probably wouldn't have went here if I wasn't working here. But they did graduate and they're off doing good things on their own right now. So there is life even after university. So I do have an understanding of the anxiety that you may have a little bit of, and I always provide my cell phone number for all of you, and it'll be on some documents that you can take back with you. If there's ever one of those late night calls that you need to do, please give us a ring after you call Xavier. We realize that there's some significant changes that are going to happen, and I wanted to highlight just a few of them along the way, and kind of condensed it down into a nice little package here. I think if you just stay with me for a couple minutes, we'll get through all of this. We do look at it as though it's a journey that your students are on, and it's a 4-year journey as far as I'm concerned, because each one of those skill sets or years that they're here, they're learning something new and different. Freshman year is figuring out, or first year is trying to figure out how to go downrange and have a good time. Sophomore year is polishing that up. Junior year is a little bit different. They're legally going down range now and having a good time. And then finally, by the 4th year, they're starting to really pay attention to what's going on. So we do have a 24-hour operation. It's 365. There's base operations. It's always there. That is a great number to have. It's going to be on some information material that I'll provide you later, so don't bother putting that down. We do have a trifold that some of my officers are going to hand out here in a second. It is kind of reference material about who we have with us, who works for us, those type of things. So Letha and crew, if you would issue them out, please just hang on to those as reference, and I pretty much will talk to a lot of those. This is the biggest portion of who does our work. Most of these guys are retired city officers, retired county officers, state police, FBI agents, those type of things that make up this pretty robust package of human sources, as I call it, or people on the ground. We use technology along the way with cameras. This is a fairly IRS-looking location. We will steal your son's or daughter's image. We won't steal it. It'll be in a common space, and so. But they just remind them that we have that much footage. It really helps me keep the campus pretty secure, and it many times helps us during the judicial process. When you have a picture of somebody doing something wrong, it's a lot easier. We also have access control systems that are out there, and that's quite robust itself. And the emergency phones that you'll see as you're walking your way around, they push that button that goes right to base, and we send officers over to it as soon as we hear that information. The preponderance of the work is done by the campus public safety officers. They are commissioned by the state of Maryland. That means they have the full trust and confidence of the governor, and they have arrest authority on property that we own, rent, or lease. So when we get in a big argument with folks, if it's on our property, and we typically don't arrest students, we use that as part of we go through the judicial process 99% of the time, but there are times when we have to go that next level. Along the same lines, we also, because we want to use all the technology, we had some areas that were a little bit off campus, a little bit more difficult for us because we don't rent or lease that. We have no jurisdiction. So we have an agreement with the Commissioner of Baltimore to use city officers mostly during the hours of darkness from about 4 or 5 in the afternoon all the way till 5 or 6 in the morning. helping us out on some of the more difficult areas. So they have really, when we did that about 6 years ago, that has made a huge difference to us in helping us get to the areas that some of our students frequent, that are areas that are a little bit further off the beaten path. One of the other areas that we're kind of really working heavy on these days, as you know, with active shooter things and with really scary stuff on campuses, all the way from elementary school all the way up to universities. Here's 3 pretty good websites that we have that are linked to our public safety URL. Those are the URLs for it if you click on it. Our fire and safety report is there. That is something that is mandatory. The Department of Ed makes all universities post that. And it's up there. It only seems like it's about a year ago's data. So 3 years of data is up there. We're doing some really classical stuff with active shooter and instruction to your individual students. And most of that will happen when they return later on for September when they return for move-in. We also have something that you want to talk to them a little bit about tonight if you get a chance to. E2 Campus is our mass notification process. That means it'll come over text over their phone. It can also have your number affixed to it so that you will get the alert at the same time that they get it. So if you have a chance, go ahead and tell them to make sure you put down whichever cell phone number that you want. It'll also send you a text as a parent through the Loyola network. All of them are semi-required to do it. We threaten them that you either sign up for housing or sign up for E2 Campus. If you don't do one, you can't do the other. So we get 100% usually. And it's an opt-in kind of thing that they do. And I just had a little discussion with that. And here's something the parents always ask me a little bit after this later on is, when your sons and daughters, when you bring them back in September, we spend about an hour, we split the class up into about 250, we put them right in here, and I call it my survival brief, but between student life and myself, we kind of tag team that briefing, and it goes pretty well, and it gives them all the kind of local pieces that they really need to know about, since most of them are not from this general location. Yes? Yes, you can, and it's in your trifold there too. If you read buried down in there, you'll get there. There are some things that we really need your help with. I know you came here looking for help from me, but these are some things that I really need your help with. I only say this because it happens so often. It's kind of crazy. We consider fire on our campuses probably our #1 threat, and you can see that we need your help because 60 out of 83, roughly around 72%, are all cooking issues. Cooking of popcorn, cooking of easy bake, cooking of anything after they return from downrange. They want to have a little munchies, and they put it on the stove, and then it goes, and then we have to dump the entire residence hall because somebody felt a little bit hungry, then they went down the hall to talk to their friend, they come back, they burn something else. Please have just a little discussion with them about, it's probably not a great idea, go to a midnight buffet or go to one of the other places that are on campus to get your chow when you come back. It'll help us, and it'll help them from not having to go stand outside. We do push everyone out of the building. We do give community standards tickets for those that say they could not hear it. I don't know how you could ever do that. And so it is a very robust and great fire system. It works exceedingly well. And we just need them to help us a little bit on the cooking side. It has been going down a little bit, but not well enough for the Baltimore Fire Department, who comes every time we have one of those events, because we don't know what it is at that particular moment. We also do a lot of work with your sons and daughters on carrying their ID, and mostly that's the security aspect of it. All of their residence halls will have, most of the residence halls have primary swipes to get into the building, a secondary desk attendant that they'll have to swipe their way through, and then their individual key to get into their room. So kind of 3 security systems to do that. And along all of the standard walkways about campus, whether you're going on the east side over by the library or over to Newman, the principal paths are all, sometimes you come indoors if it's cold or raining, you'll have to swipe your way to get in on those also. So we really need them to understand that we're We're not doing it to harass, we're just doing it to see who's on our campus, number one, and number two, are they supposed to be on campus? And that's usually a longer discussion, especially at 1 or 2 in the morning. We really have, you'll see some more of this at orientation, but social network items of putting stuff up on Facebook, putting stuff at